Hi guys, I'm Aditya and today I'm going to show you how I color grade X-T3 and X-T4 footage using EARTH LUTs on DaVinci Resolve. But it will also work on other cameras like Panasonic, Sony cameras because I'm right now stuck at my parents' place because of the lockdown. I'm just using the footage that I have and trying to show what I do to color grade the F-log footage. This is mostly in workflow for DaVinci Resolve for color grading. Came up with this workflow that works for me. I hope this works for you as well. This is the timeline of just like some random clips that I found on my hard drive. So to start with, I create approximately 4 or 5 nodes. I'm gonna rename one of them so that you understand what I exactly do on each node. The first one is I always leave it for noise reduction and then I come back to it later. Second node is where all the corrections are to be done, like white balance, exposure corrections. The third node is where you apply the LUT. You actually don't do much on the third node, but when you want to come back and change your LUT or change your look, you can do it here. Fourth one is where I do the final corrections or final adjustments, you can say. This is one clip and I'm gonna show you how I start working on it. I'm just gonna right now take all these clips and create those empty nodes that we just created on the first clip. This is the most basic setup of the Resolve, especially on a MacBook Pro. So I have the parade here, so whenever I need, I go get my vector scope here, or I can get waveform, but mostly I'm always on parade. So basically the first one, like I said, noise reduction is always done in the ends. When I want to use noise reduction and put some film grain, I kind of use noise reduction. So let's keep the noise reduction node separately. Now let's go to the CC, which is where we're going to do the corrections. I know a lot of people who first straight away get the log footage and start doing their corrections on temperature according to how they want, and then apply the LUT, and they always tell me the LUTs are not working and stuff. But what I would suggest always is first put the LUT and then come back to the color corrections. Say for example on this one, we go to the LUTs panel, and as you can see, this is EARTH LUTs for Fujifilm cameras. So I can choose whichever LUT. What I do is basically first hover over each LUTs and see which one works better for this. Say for example, I like this Provia one for this because it brings a little bit of her the reddish tone on her skin, and there are some stronger ones, but I would want to do something mild first and then show it to you. So let me use the Provia here, EARTH Provia, and I'm going to drop it in LUTs. So I'm going to close that LUTs thing. So as you can see right now, I know I want to do a little bit of temperature corrections because it looks a little too warm for my liking. So I'll reduce the temperature a little. I don't mind the warm look to it, but in my opinion it's just a little too much. That looks okay to me. Yeah, more or less I'm okay with this. See, that's what these LUTs actually are helpful to when you want to do a quick turnaround, especially when you have less time and you want to grade, and these are so helpful. I'm gonna push saturation a little bit more so that I can bring a little more to our skin and lips and stuff, and see what does that. It's very minute but still doing something. Okay, let me push and then come back. Yeah, I think somewhere there. What I would also do is maybe bring down the highlights a little bit, or gain, whatever you call it, a little bit, and because of that our midtones got really crushed, so I'm gonna lift a little. Yeah, I think more or less this is doing pretty good for now. If you see, we came from here to here in very simple few steps. So like say for example, if you see on the left of the image there is noise, so this is the time when I kind of use a little bit of noise reduction, very little, so that we lose that digital noise, and then later maybe we can add the grain. And like I said, I create, like generally whenever I want to create film grain and stuff, I make like 5 notes, but now I don't want to do that. For now I'm gonna leave the noise as is, or like maybe let's just do the noise reduction so that you also know how I noise reduce the image. So this is something that I learned from the internet, so there's no hard and fast rule, but basically I don't go anything beyond like say 7 or 8, because there is like a lot of noise. I'm gonna keep it to small. I'm going to try and like clean very little, and I generally do better, and then put it on small and then increase it to about 4, say 4 or 5. This is something that I learned on internet, but there's no hard or fast rule. Slowly I got to understand what each one does, but I think once you start using this noise reduction, it actually helps you a lot. If you see this part now, it's cleaned up really well, but it's still not lost like any of the details and stuff, so it's actually pretty good. If you see, obviously we've tried and saved the highlights, but still it becomes a little more flat, so I'm gonna like bring back the gain a little more so that it doesn't fall like completely flat. But otherwise, more or less that's what I'll leave it at, like somewhere there. From there to that. So yeah, it's definitely not bad. I'm gonna turn off the noise reduction for a while. Okay, so we go to the final CC. What I do here generally is like keeping the whites white and keeping the blacks black. This is a good technique I learned on the internet again, and I hope I'm not stealing anybody's idea as such, but I'm just sharing what I know and I use. Like say for example, if you see, like let me just show it to you. If we increase the saturation, like say, you can see there's a little bit of color in blacks. Like if you see, there is some kind of blues here, there's some kind of browns here. So to avoid all that, what you can do is you can go to luminance versus saturation curve and then reduce color from blacks. Here what you're saying is you don't want color in the blacks. Always remember, if you're using like an 8-bit footage, don't try and do it too hard. Try and go in such a way that it's very subtle, the adjustments and the settings. So here I'm trying to also reduce color in whites, so that's what I'm doing here. So I'm reducing more from the blacks. Now you can see that in blacks we reduced a lot of color, so that's good, man. That's really good, and that always helps. Like generally I do it till here, but because there's a lot of information in blacks, I don't want to crush all the color, so I'm gonna do very mild. And I think overall I'm okay with how it looks as of now. Okay, let me turn on the noise reduction and then I can move on. This is something that I shot in 2021 in February. I shot this on my XT4. Like again, we have the 4 nodes that we want to work on. Noise reduction, again we'll leave it alone, and we go to CC, and we go to CC after applying the LUT. Let's see what LUT works for this. These 3 are looking closer to where I want. Like say this is F-log to beach sand neutral LUT from the Fujifilm LUT pack. So yeah, I like that, but out of the bat I know there are a few corrections that I want to do. Yeah, so like if you see, the browns and the sand and the mud area pops out properly, and also the blues stand out. I still want to correct a little bit of blues because like on the day when I saw it, it was much more bluer than this is. So I just want to adjust a little bit of all that. So let me first fix the tint a little first, because the reds are like really dead, and let me put some saturation. If you see, I'm doing all the corrections on the CC node. I'm going to increase saturation a little bit, always try and go haywire and then come back slowly. So yeah, so like what I like to do with travel stuff at least is you see the parade, you see that like it's not like touching the whites, but I know there are whites in this frame, so I'd like to push the curve in such a way that like I touch it as close to whites, because I know like if you don't do it, like it just creates that 3D pop to the image. And this is where I think most of the people make a mistake of just like applying LUT and like not correcting the exposure. If it's well exposed, 80% of the image will anyway look nicer. So basically what I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to make it a little more three-dimensional. So much of adjustment there. I'm trying to bring back a little bit of blacks. Maybe I did too much. So if you see, there are like the black area is almost close to blacks, so you can't also push it too much, but I'd like to bring a little bit of mid-tones back so that I create that contrasty travel kind of look. So that makes, like, if you see the image, that was before and that's after. So what I would like to like first do is like the blues are a little patchy in my opinion. I'd like to make it a little, maybe like I go to the final CC node and I would like to try and reduce the blues a little bit and see if that helps, because I feel it's a little too oversaturated in my opinion. Also I came to the hue because it was definitely more cyanish than how it is looking here. I think that's also because of the LUT we applied. So yeah, I think if you see it, we landed on a really good position, like from there to this, and that looks like very travel natural kind of look. But I would want to like increase a little bit of reds here, because reds are almost dead here, or looking almost dead here. So I'm gonna try and increase and see if it works. Yeah, so already that makes a lot of difference to the image. Even though it's like as realistic, it's still warm, it still looks like it belongs there, and at the same time it's got this like really travel, like it's got the travel feels in it. So I'm gonna adjust a little bit of temperature and then reduce the tint a little. See, that's what, whenever you want to do white balance or like contrast or exposure adjustments, you come back to this node and then do all your adjustments. And then whenever you want to go to do minute like selective adjustments, like how I increase the reds, how I change the color of the blues, you can do here using the curves and stuff. So yeah, give a little bit of blue, because when we reduce the temperature, I quite like where it landed. It's fine. From, if you see like how the f-log was, we have come to a really good position. Obviously I do few more things, like I would still adjust the blues and stuff properly, but one more thing quickly, what you can do, like a thing that I always do is like come to lumetri as a saturation and reduce the, like pull the blacks down and the color in the whites, so that now if you see, the whites are proper whites, which is very important, especially when you're doing a travel kind of a thing. That works. Okay, let's quickly move on to the next image. Yeah, let's again go to the LUTs thing and see some of the film LUTs. Like film LUTs are quite strong, so you need to actually visualize and see what works. So obviously out of the bat I can see that it's quite dark, the image, so I might have to pull up the exposure. If you can see, I would always recommend people to shoot like towards the right, like exposure should always be brighter, and then you can pull it down in the post. But I myself have exposed really dark, so what I want to first do is like try and apply a look and then work from there. So I like these two. Maybe I'll apply a ton of film. Yeah, so it does look a little too dark, over contrasty, over pushed and stuff. Bear with me here. So what I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna try and like bring the exposure up. That's the thing, man, like if you get the exposure correct, most of the images always like look great. Like that was literally just doing two things. I don't even think I'm gonna do much to this image. Oh, one mistake I did, like constantly I keep doing this. I did the adjustments in the LUT node, so I'm gonna cancel that again and then go back to CC and try and do the thing here, because I always try and keep it a habit so that I don't like not follow this thing, because it's a great workflow that works for me always. So when I, like say for example, after working for like 10-15 minutes on a clip, we can still come back to CC and do the adjustments that we have to, and go to the final CC and do like that kind of adjustments, so we'll never be confused in that way. So, and also like I know people who do like 20-30 notes and stuff, but I always like to keep it simple and like limited to like 4 to 5 notes or 6 notes, because for me color grading is like mostly about keeping it as simple as possible, because I want to spend more time while shooting. That's what like my whole idea of like creating the EARTH LUTs also, like to make creators spend less time on computer than like while shooting. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to you. So like there's also one more tip I can give you guys, how I do noise reduction. Like say for example, we have done noise reduction on the clip 1. What we can do is, we can like, you can save as a shared note, and like use the same shared note here, create an add shared note. So now you have the noise reduction here. So you might have to delete that, and that shared note becomes your noise reduction, and you can use it in like multiple clips on your timeline. So yeah, that cleans up well, and then yeah, we're done with that. I shot in Ladakh again with XT4. So let's just see what LUT works for this, and yeah, let's go to the EARTH LUTs. So EARTH LUTs, and the difference between EARTH LUTs and film LUTs is this, that EARTH LUTs are basically clean kind of looks, but at the same time there are some looks that are a little more filmic, but that's just the style I like. So yeah, so you have to like play around to know what each of them does. Yeah, I think Eterna film thing looks nice, so I'm gonna drop that there. Switch off the LUTs, switch off the clips, and then okay, so now off the bat we just have to adjust the exposure. I think we'll be fine, like we are always doing that. So yeah, so as you can see, the blues are not popping here, but when I was there, I was with my friend and I was there, it was much more blue than how it is looking here. So I'm going to bump up the saturation a little more and come back slowly. Yeah, I would want to do a little more of saturation, so I'm gonna pull up the saturation a little. So yeah, like say on this, what I would actually do is like probably select the skies a little more and bring down the luminance and stuff. Okay, let me actually quickly show it to you, because I didn't want to keep this video as long. So like I said, shift H is to see how much are we affecting, and one second, I can't do that. More smoother gradient. So somewhere there. So what I'll do is I'll try and go to the curves, and now shift H again, and then pop the color, like, and make the luminance a little darker. Don't push it too hard, because as you can see, I can see like the image breaking a little. So don't push it too hard, especially with the luminance, and increase the saturation a little. So I'm trying to do that. Let me just pull down the luminance a little more. It's still breaking. So yeah, so I think maybe adjusting a little bit of the hue towards cyan, because that's how I like it. And what I can also do is in the image, in the final CC, what I can do, MD or whatever you call it here, it's called mid-tone detail, I think. So you can increase the detail, or you can also sharpen a little bit according to your taste. So yeah, so that's like good 3D pop you got there, and you can see from there. Obviously when I'm sitting and like working on an image, it'll take for me like approximately 30 to 35 minutes for each clip, 25 minutes at least. So then I give it like a lot of time and thought and see what I can do to enhance the image. So yeah, so like say for example, especially when you do the luminance, always remember you need noise reduction, so that to remove that blotchy temporal noise. So yeah, it always helps. Okay, let me quickly go to the next clip and let me show. Okay, so let me work on one of the Panasonic, because people keep telling me that, oh, it works on Fuji, it doesn't work well on Panasonic. So this was actually shot on Panasonic, but in one of my videos I thought I shot it on XT4. It was shot on Panasonic Vlog L, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, these are Panasonic LUTs. Panasonic has Vlog and natural profile stuff. I've given settings in the PDF file I sent, so you can use those. I actually like the earth straight up. That's earth warm. Sorry. Oh, this is nice. Actually, I like the earth one better, so I'm gonna put on the LUT. So as you can see, like it's too popped, it's like it's too much as of now. What I do is when a LUT does too much, I like most of my LUTs don't do that much, but if it does, like this in Panasonic, you can reduce the you can come to this window, it's called keying. So you can reduce the key output to approximately 80%, something like that, and then start working on the CC, like how I would like to create. Like when I see it is definitely it needs some exposure. It's too dark. And also I always recommend people to always shoot like one stop brighter when you're especially shooting in log, any kind of log. Honestly, the sensor needs to be exposed properly. That's what it is about with these smaller cameras, because when you expose it properly to light, I think the noise and the digital stuff don't show up on the image. That looks nice with the skin and everything. I like it. Some people might want it like really bright, but I like it there. I'm gonna lift the blacks a little more. So yeah, somewhere there I like it, but if you want, you can still do a little bit of whites and then pull the thing like that, so that gives that sunny mood. If you see before, after. So yeah, what I would like to do on this image especially is the blues, because I know I was in Ladakh and it was much more cyan. Like it's too magenta for Panasonic always, but yeah, it's so good. Like right now that image looks so good for me. I might want to do some noise reduction on the image and good to go. Let me reduce the temperature a little bit, so that, yeah. Also, there's one more really beautiful tip that I can give you is, like, especially when you want the whites to be white, you can reduce the color boost in such a way where you see the skies and everything in whites, and then you can increase the saturation like to a point where you get the other colors to be in saturate, like good place. Like say for example, his skin right now is popping but the skies remain white. So I think that's actually a very good way to do it. Like I'll repeat it again. So when your whites or like everything is a little shift, what you can do is you can reduce the color boost and till you see it as white, and you can literally increase the saturation so that it increases the saturation of the other stuff, but white and black remains to be white and black. So yeah, it's more or less how sat versus sat does. Like, I'll show you the same technique in another way, where you can come back, you go to saturation versus saturation. You can reduce saturation of anything close to grays, and so the grays will remain like gray, whites, blacks, all these will remain like non-affected, but the grade will work on the other stuff. So that ways it's very helpful. So let's see what all we did again once more. So first we applied the LUT and it was too dark, and then we color corrected with increasing the exposure and adjusting the temperature and doing the little changes, and then we added that final look with like adding cyan to the skies and making the white look white, and skins pop out. I didn't do much with the skins because all the LUTs actually are like basically work towards having all kinds of skins in such a way that it's in like really good place in vector scope. So yeah, it's something that I really focus on as a filmmaker as well, as a cinematographer as well. So yeah, man, more or less that's about it. You can use these techniques on all the cameras and everything that you're doing, and I hope it helped. And also leave some questions. I'm gonna do an Q&A very soon. So if you have any questions regarding color grading, earth LUTs, or even the work I've done before, I'll be very happy to answer them. So yeah, thank you guys. See you. It was great, man. It was such a good calming session. I would want to do this again, and let me know if you guys liked something like this. I'll do it again. Thank you. Bye.